Squid Game 3, such a massive phenomenon, that it managed to crash Netflix's servers just a few minutes after its release. Given how big it's become, I think it's safe to say you've seen it, but I also think you've missed plenty of hidden details all throughout it. So that's what we're going to look at today. Everything you missed in Squid Game 3. In Season 1, there were drawings on the dormitory walls that turned out to be representations of the games themselves, but in Seasons 2 and 3, the function of those drawings is completely different. There are no representations of the games, even though we might have thought so, with the people hanging from the ceiling. But the purpose lies elsewhere. These drawings of people hanging from the ceiling represent the psychological state of the players, excluded from the real world. There's also an inscription that says, Odem I crastabi, pardon my pronunciation, which is a Latin proverb meaning, today it's me, tomorrow it's you. Now, you can interpret that in many ways. Could refer to the dead players, like, today in this game it's me who dies, but tomorrow it'll be you. But it could also refer to people living in precarious situations, like all the Squid Game players. Today I'm the one who's struggling, but tomorrow it might be you. Anyway, there are many possible interpretations, but let me share my favorite. This Latin proverb was often inscribed on tombstones. This dormitory represents a giant grave for all the participants. The bed layout with crosses reinforces this idea. It literally looks like a cemetery. There are also many messages written in Korean, which we, regular folks, can't understand on first viewing. For example, in episode 2, during a conversation between player 124 and player 333, we see written, "Beware of love," which can mean many things, perhaps related to his love, if we can call it that, for player 22. And right after that, next to 124, we see written, "Beware of people in black." Again, maybe a premonition. In episode 5, when guard number 11 digs into the archives to erase all traces of player 246, we see on the far left a file labeled in Korean, "Blacklist of participants." What do you think that means? We might never get an explanation, but personally I'd love to know. When they arrive in the massive room for the final game, we can see in the top right a huge sign saying, "Safety first," which is incredibly ironic for a game that asks them to jump into the void with zero safety. Back to the hide-and-seek game. You know the room with the exit door, where the horrific family murder happens? The walls are covered with images of dreams, hope, rainbows, and white butterflies. Except a Korean superstition says that, if a white butterfly enters a house in spring, a family member will die. And we definitely know what ends up happening. Also, the red hands painted on the other exit door aren't just innocent children's drawings. Like the rest of the hide-and-seek decor, they symbolize all the players who came this close to escaping, only to be blocked by that door. Now let's shift toward the symbolism in the games. In hide-and-seek again, you could actually guess what the game would be, even before the teams were selected. Because on the walls were prominently placed, like really huge, a knife symbol and a key symbol. But these tools aren't random. They're based on Korean symbolism. The knife represents strength and betrayal, survival. Do you know the train dilemma? That thought experiment, where someone has to decide which track a speeding train should go down, one with 10 strangers, the other with, say, your own father. That theme is very present this season. The jump rope room is shown as a railway crossing, with the bridge acting as train tracks, and a flashing signal. Jun faces his own version of the train dilemma. In episode 4, the game master gives him a knife and offers him a deal: kill all the players in their sleep, so he and the baby can survive and leave the games. Which lives matter most? That's the question. He chooses, for now, not to kill. Unlike the game master, who once killed everyone else to save himself when he was a player. Just like when Jun sacrifices himself for the baby at the end, he paradoxically chooses life and humanity. During the jump rope game, a song plays with lyrics that match the events. Boyfriend, boyfriend, turn around. When 096 pushes the others to their doom, 349 realizes it's pointless to keep jumping, so she turns around, but things don't end well for her. The lyrics say, touch the ground, and now you go far away. Symbolizing how, if a player is hit by the rope for not jumping on time, they're flung off into the distance. Back to hide-and-seek. Man, that's the most packed game of the season. When player 222 gives birth to her child, she's in a room that looks like the ocean. Deep sea imagery, a symbol of the origin of life. Above her during the birth, a giant octopus is shown. Fun fact, after octopuses reproduce, they literally devote their lives to their baby, and die soon after, sacrificing themselves to protect it. And we know what 122 eventually does to protect her baby. In the same room, once the baby is born, player 149 finally uses the blade hidden in her hairpin for the first time ever in the series. She's had it since the beginning of season 2, but never used it, and now we know why. The blade represents life and death. She first uses it to cut the umbilical cord, bringing life into the world. Then shortly after, when her own son threatens to kill 22 and the baby, to qualify, she uses it again, stabbing him in the back, killing him. The knife brings both life and death in this world. It's a symbol much like June, the worst of humanity, but also its last hope. Since Jiwon, number 456 has become very important. It's the number he won within Season 1. In Season 3, when he cares for the baby, he wraps it in his jacket, bearing that same number, 456, as a symbol of life, hope, and humanity, to help the baby survive. Right before he finds 388 in hide and seek, the clock reads 4 minutes and 56 seconds. That number drags him back into the game. He came to stop, which is confirmed when he kills 388 right afterward, proving the game had taken hold of him again. At the very start of Episode 1, when he's brought back into the game from a coffin, he's placed between red and blue lines, showing that by rebelling, he chose neither side. His rebellion died in that coffin. See player 044, the fake shaman? Well, what if I told you she might not be so fake? When a player betrays her and stops her from escaping, she curses him. The gods of heaven and earth will smash your skull, break your spine, and pulverize your organs. And in the final game, he falls from the top. And that's exactly what happens. He's the only one we see, with his skull shattered. There's religious symbolism this season. June rising from the dead, like Jesus. The game master betraying him, like Judas. Just in case you forgot, it's been years. His final words were, "We're not horses, we're human beings." He said that in reference to horse betting. From Season 1, just like the VIPs bet, on who will live and die among the players. A huge part of Squid Game's production design was inspired by the Mobius strip, that infinite loop, the twisted staircases, the endless hide-and-seek game, the way things repeat over and over. It all reflects the cycle of life and death. In the final game, with those massive pillars, there are staircases shaped like the Mobius strip, but with no entrance or exit. The players never use them. They use a central elevator instead, because they're trapped in the loop of Squid Game forever. Let me touch on a few theories I mentioned in my Season 2 video. Remember when I said, Guard 11 intentionally spared player 246? Confirmed. Also, for those who missed it, those demon dolls are based on a Korean book, featuring Young Ai and Chul-soo, her boyfriend. There's a parallel I find beautiful and brutal. In Season 1, player 67, Kang Sebyek, a North Korean, her name meant dawn over the river. In Season 3, another North Korean appears, Kang Noil, a guard. Her name means sunset over the river. One represented sunrise on the side of the victims, and died to violence. The other represents sunset, crosses to the oppressor's side, and survives. There are superhero references since Season 2. In Episode 1, 124 tells 125 he killed 380, because she thought she was Wonder Woman or something. In Episode 3, the VIPs talk about 222, and her strength from wanting to protect her child. One says she could become a Marvel superhero. Another says like Wonder Woman? He's clueless, but we know what happens to 222. It mirrors 380's fate. The game doesn't spare anyone. There are no superheroes in real life. 124 saying, "Let's kill half of humanity," is a nod to his buddy Thanos from Season 2, itself a nod to Marvel's Thanos, who wiped out half the universe. 044 plays the shaman, but it's actually S25, who sees real dead people, traumatized from the game, and ends up killing her, after a vision. Here's a tiny hidden detail, free, like the rest. In Episode 3, when Choi enters Captain Park's home, looking for proof of guilt, he sees a photo of the game master, smiling and holding a giant fish. Choi doesn't recognize him, he's never seen him. In the final scene in the USA, we see a recruiter for a Squid Game. If you didn't catch it, it's a cameo by Cate Blanchett. More importantly, it confirms there are Squid Games all over the world, and the game master we know is just one of many. That's why he told June, "If you kill me, I'll be replaced." The game will go on. So now, spin-offs in the US or elsewhere are possible. This is official. In Season 1, a VIP said, the Korean version is the best. So it's no surprise there's one in the US. At the start of the game, they had healthy food, enough to stay strong for the challenges. But since the rebellion attempt, all they get is potatoes, just enough to survive, not enough to rebel again. There's a reason Captain Park is a fisherman. Fishermen use bait to lure fish, but only to trap them. It mirrors his role with the sergeant. To close this video, here's a final batch of hidden details, not grouped by theme. The VIPs use real people as furniture. 124's death shows how addiction can lead to death. The VIPs putting a baby in the game symbolizes inherited debt ruining lives from birth. The envelopes for the prize money are black with a pink ribbon, the same as the coffins used for dead players. It symbolizes that becoming rich, like the elite, means giving your body, soul, and life to the black void, profiting from others' death. And finally, in the last scene with the American recruiter, there's a lottery ticket in the store window frame. It recalls the homeless man from Season 2, forced to choose between bread and a lottery ticket. It's a symbol of desperation and how people will risk anything for a tiny chance at winning big. Squid Game has been one hell of a ride. I personally think many things were missed in this final season. but that doesn't take away from the legend this series has become, especially since it came out of nowhere. I look forward to your comments. Let me know what you noticed that I missed. I'm sure there's still a ton to discuss. Of course, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We're just getting started, so I'm counting on you. As for me, I'll see you very soon.